Back and maintain control of the top wild card spot out in the West. They're taking on the Calgary Flames tonight. The start of a back-to-back. We'll see how that all plays out. But for tonight, at least, it's pretty straightforward one. You win tonight, you keep control. Calgary in the second wildcard spot, the Avs in the first. We will have a couple of things to talk about, including Calgary Flames GM Craig Conroy joining us later on in the show. If you want to hear Calgary's side of things, how Nas is doing and otherwise, you'll get that in a little bit. First, the Avs side of things, it is going to be Mackenzie Blackwood on this side of the back-to-back. I don't even want to confidently say it'll be Trent Miner on the backside because we've seen Bednar run his goalie on both ends of it. Do you think that might be the case here?
No, you know what? Big break coming up. Guys, it's a 15-minute plane ride. Like you know what I mean? Like yeah. I'm assuming they're playing. I mean, I've seen us bus a few times, but I mean, not on a back-to-back, but you're talking about a 15-minute plane ride. Those guys will be in their hotel room by midnight. You know what I mean? Like, so I would say he runs with Blackwood, Home Depot dude tomorrow, again. Take one game at a time, obviously, but
of course,
that's just my gut. That's my gut. It's as easy as a back-to-back as you get, or LA Anaheim too if there's no traffic. You know what I mean? Those types of, that's where you see,
home for both might be easier, but sure.
Yeah, or home for both, obviously. You know what I mean? Sleep in your own bed. I'm talking about when you're on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, in your own bed, or I don't know. I used to sleep better in the hotel than on the home, so who knows? I think one at a time. I think he goes back to back. That's just my gut feeling.
All right, fair enough. The other expected change in the Avs lineup: Oliver Shillington dropping into that D core. Our title screen said it. Do the Avs need a little bit of a spark? Does that defense need a little bit of I don't want to call it a shakeup, but obviously you haven't been getting great performances out of your bottom pair, especially lately.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to see some new combos there, right? With Josh being out and Shilly being in. And the one thing is, it could be good for Shilly to be in there is that it's his surroundings that he knows, familiar surroundings. Obviously, I've been playing in Calgary pretty much his whole career. But then again, you might hear a couple boos and a couple things. And, like I think he was asked this morning about, how come he didn't end up back in Calgary and he had to answer and face the media a little bit. And, I don't know. I mean, again, we saw it with KC going back to Buffalo, struggled a little bit that game. It's not easy. It's not easy when you go back sometimes. But we'll see. Again, he needs to get going in the sense that he really hasn't played this year, the year before. So he needs to get going. Unfortunately, there's only 48 hours and then, there's a break again. You know what I mean? So it just seems to always impedes his, it's getting back on track. But, hey, the Avs need everyone tonight. This is going to be a fun game, a playoff type.
Unfortunately, there's still not a lot of clarity around Josh Manson. What we do know is he will not play this game or the next. So he does at least have the international break to hopefully get healthy, but we're not 100% sure where he's at. So we'll see how that plays out. But for the immediate, it's going to be Shillington in the lineup for them. I don't know, I know you said they're probably going to mix up some of those combos. Is there someone you expect to get the lion's share of that second pair time?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you see him split up, 7 and 8? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. And we all know Shilly can play the right side as well, right? So, obviously, with Josh being out, someone's going to have to play on the right side. I don't know. I don't know. I would assume 7 and 8, and then I would assume I'm going to go Shillington and Gerard. Shillington can play the right side. That's just what I'm thinking right now, right off the bat. And
to your initial point, this is, it's been 4 months and Shillington's barely played, but in the preseason and in the early portion of the season, they were floating Shillington out there with Makar at times. So uh,
Yeah,
I don't know that that's a
yeah, maybe,
sustainable
yeah, yeah,
pairing, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, like I think its play will dictate where he goes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
again, he hasn't played a lot, and I think if he goes out there as a first, few shifts feels good, maybe you see that. Maybe you see him there with 8 on the right. Like, I don't know, but I think his play is going to dictate what he gets and how much he gets of it. You know?
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's very going to be
Yeah.
the whole bottom three of your defense, to be honest. Shillington, Dahan, and Middleton and Malinsky, whatever combination of them you have in the lineup. Bedsy's going to play the hot hand and probably skip the cold hand as often as possible. So,
Hey, he said it. It's playoff time, right? You know what I mean? He
yep.
said it's playoff time, treating it like it's playoffs. So when it's playoffs, if you're not on your game, you sometimes you got to go ride the pine a little bit, right? You know what I mean? And be slide down the bench and go hang out with the backup goalie. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
You're going to have to play it by ear a little bit. When you move over to the Avs forward core, let me not
Yeah.
steal all of your topics. Let's get to your three keys first,
Sure.
and then we'll get into the forward core.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's so simple tonight. It's all about hard work. So number one is puck pursuit. You got to get first on pucks. You got to win those 50 battle wins. You got to get those secondary chances. Like I talk about, I know the image and the of what the Avalanche are. They're a good team on the rush, and But again, once the rush is done, you got to get on top of those pucks. You got to get on top of those pucks. How? By winning those 50-50 battles, and you got to make sure that you are hard work and working hard tonight and working harder than the other team. Number two, I'm using his line yesterday, Coach Bednar's line. He said we got to be grimy. We got to be grimy to score more. You know what I mean? The coach said it. I'm using his word. That's my SAT word of the day. You got to muck it up. It's a playoff game. You got to pay the price. I mean, if you score a beautiful goal on a 2-on-1, great one-timer, cookie, cheese, peanut butter. I got no problem. You know what I mean? But let's also score more than one, like we talked about the last few games. The Avalanche and their losses have scored like 0-0, 1-1, 2, whatever it was. And every time they win, they score 5, 6. Well, let's get out there. And maybe sometimes you got to win 2-1. So get a beautiful goal and get a grimy one. So, number three, execute. You got to finish plays. When they're there, you gotta make the other team pay if they give you an odd man rush. You gotta break out cleanly. You got to be perfect with the basics, the 10-foot passes, the 5-foot passes. Like, you got to make sure that you're perfect with those little things, and that's what executing means. It's not just putting the puck in the net. It's all over the ice. It's executing your decisions. It's executing the game plan. It's executing what you need to do on a face-off. So I think tonight you need your concentration, one game at a time. Again, they are 2-1 since the coach said this was playoffs. So this is a crucial game in those little whatever you call that games within the game, and this is a big game for the Avalanche. And of course, if you look at the standings, it's also a big game. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that that's a big game.
I mean, even forget treating it like playoffs. You had 5 games going into the break, and you're 2-1. You win this one, you guarantee you win that stretch of 5 games, right? And
Yeah.
3-2 isn't great, but it's certainly better than 2-3. So put yourself in that position. Give yourself a chance to go 4-1, and then you feel real good about yourself going into the break. It's that opportunity. The other thing I would add with your two things of grime it up and execute, you want to strike a balance there, right? If you're doing the hard work and you're executing, great. That's how you win games 5-0. That's how you get some of those easy wins the Avs have gotten as of late. But when one of those sides isn't working, when the executing isn't going, you got to be willing to get the grime going. When the other team's out muscling you, then guess what? You're going to have to execute on the few opportunities you do get. So you're going to need some of both. When one isn't working, make sure you have the other one.
Bingo, buddy. Bingo. And that's why I was out there. And that's
Yep.
exactly you get the assignment right now. Let's get you in the lineup.
Oh God, if you want to lose 50-0, I'm here for it. Especially now, because my back's all tweaked. It's rough out here. All right, and this is a guy who sits 8 hours a day. So we're in trouble. I think the other side of this is I called it steam, call it momentum, call it whatever you want. I think at times you watch the Avs fall off the wagon a little bit too easily, right? They have a stretch of hockey where it feels like they're going well. Things are playing well, even if the puck isn't going in the back of the net. But one play, it feels like shuts them down. I want to see a little bit more mental toughness as well as actual on the ice toughness from this team. Yeah, if you take a penalty and it doesn't go well, or if you have a bad power play, instead of falling into that trap of having a bad next 5 minutes, have that double down, revitalize your game even more. Said, you know what, that was tough. Let's go back and play better the next 5 minutes.
I'm with you. I mean, dureté mentale. That's what they say in French. Mental toughness. You know what I mean? And it's like you got to make sure that you're able to just put things aside, goldfish memory, whatever you want to call that. Like, you know what I mean? And you jump on the next shift and get after it. Get after it. Change the momentum of a game. Let's rock and roll. And that's what the Avs have missed a little bit in those losses. And again, there's a way to do it, and there's a way to do it cleanly and without taking penalties. We all saw how it went last game. It didn't go really well in the third period, taking those penalties. And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about making it hard for the opposition, making it, just absolutely annoying. Like I said to you, for me, Lehkonen plays that way. You know what I mean? Because you get on the ice and you look across and you're like, oh, not that dude. You know what I mean? Like, God. You know what I mean? This guy doesn't cheat the game. He's always in the way. And, you know what I mean? And that's what I mean. And that's what you mean by, mucking it up a little bit. So let's make sure we get out there and we get after it.
I think the key with Lehkonen in that conversation, too, is you need your top six guys to do that. Because the reality is most bottom six guys in the league play that way because you have to, right? That's why they're in the league to some extent. So you look at them, and if they work hard and they create chances, a lot of the time you'll say, well, you know what, maybe they lack a little bit of that skill of a top six player. So if you're going to give up those opportunities, you're more okay with it with the bottom six guy. If you have top six guys, if you have McKinnon working hard like that, if you have a Natchez getting to those areas and doing the hard work, that's when other teams go, oh boy, we are in trouble now. So it really is those guys.
A little bit, right?
Yeah,
that's where
for
you
sure.
Gabe a
for
little
sure.
bit, right? You know what I mean? The last few years, I'm not saying lately, I'm saying the last few years. And that's what Gabe, that's why he's unique. That's why he's special. That's why he's got the C on his sweater. You know what I mean? You get a little bit of mixture of both and makes you a special player. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we just said the Avs need to be mean to their opponents, but we were nice to their opponents. We had on Craig Conroy, GM of the Calgary Flames, for pregame here. Got to talk a little bit with him. Let's see what he had to say about tonight in Calgary. I don't know, what do you call it? A rebuild, a retool, whatever. He talked about it. Let's hear from him. DNVR Avalanche pregame show here with GM of the Calgary Flames, Craig Conroy. Thank you for joining us. First of all, how you doing? You said it was super cold there, so I hope you're staying warm.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. I get from my car into the building as quick as I can. Minus 20-something here. So.
Oh, that's too cold. That's too cold.
It's chilly.
Flames currently sitting in the last wild card spot, taking on the Avs in the first wild card spot. You guys have missed the playoffs the last two seasons. Does it feel like you're building back into that playoff contention this year?
I mean, that was the goal going into the year. Obviously, we've got a lot of young guys, a little bit of a question mark there in net at the start of the season with kind of the trade of Jacob Markstrom. You're unsure, but both guys have really come in and played well. And really, Dustin Wolf's has really been excellent, especially at home. Maybe struggled a little bit last game against Toronto, but he'll be back in there tonight against the Avs, which isn't going to get any easier for him.
Depends on the day. Some days the Avs shoot lights out. Sometimes they can't hit the broadside of a barn. So we'll see.
Well, I'm hoping it's the latter then.
Yeah. We'll root for the other side of it. But obviously, over the last couple of years, we've seen Calgary make significant roster adjustments. I call it a restructure or a retool or whatever you want. Does it feel like the team is where it needs to be, or is there still more moves to be made this year?
I think you're always trying to improve the team and make it better. It's the tough thing for us. So we're not just going to do it. We want to age appropriate. So that makes making deals a little bit more difficult. And we have a couple first round picks this year that we, you gotta nail those picks and bring in the right guys. But, I think we've missing a couple guys right now in Zari and Kevin Ball. And it really, I think that's where our depth shows a little bit. To have those two guys out, it's been a huge loss for us.
I want to talk about what you did last week there, whatever it was, which I thought was awesome, by the way. But talk to us a little bit, like what's the game plan in the sense that, like you want to help the guys out. I'm a big locker room guy like you are, and it's like you want to give them a push, but also you want to make sure that you're not jeopardizing, like you said. And I thought it was kind of a mixture of both. I think that's what you guys kind of nailed, right?
Yeah, I think with both Frost and Farabee, you're getting 24 and 25-year-old guys. One's a center that we've been looking for, and then we just thought to bring them in. It's not just like for this year; it's going to be for the future too. So hopefully they fit in quickly. It's nice that they both scored a goal. The pressure, Eric, when you come into a new place, you want to have a good start, and I feel bad because I know they played 3 and 4. The travel, the mental strain of kind of just getting traded for the first time. They were a little bit, I could tell they were a little bit shell shocked when we first met them. So, now to kind of have them in here, be able to play these 5 games, go take the break, kind of know exactly what it's all about here, and then come back. I'm hoping it's gonna help them down the stretch, because we got an unbelievably busy March.
From the Avs side, have to ask about Nas, obviously part of the Avs 23 Cup run, and you guys ended up picking him up in free agency that following off season. He has performed extremely well for you guys over the last couple of years, but how has that fit come together now that you're starting to get a little bit deeper into that contract?
I think the one thing, he's a gamer. Every night he's there and he does things to help this team win. The other night he fought against Truba. It's always something. He just makes plays. Sometimes you're like, you don't think he has anything, and then all of a sudden there he is, scores a big goal. He definitely drives the bench too. He's on the young guys. He's pushing them. He wants to win, and it really sets the tone for our whole team. What Nas brings to us, so it's pretty exciting for us to have him. And you can see why he won a cup in Colorado. I know he was a big part of that, and you saw those plays when it looked like everything was dead. All of a sudden, he just makes something out of nothing.
Lastly, I just want to ask quickly, because I know we talk about like when you make a trade and people are like, oh, why do they care about a 7th round pick? And I'll tell you why you care about a 7th round pick. You touched on him earlier, Dustin Wolf. How cool and how crucial is that when you can nail a pick that's making a big impact like that on the 7th round?
It's amazing. I remember when we had the draft, he came down and he was in tears. He had a huge entourage of people there too. And when he came down, he's like, I'm gonna prove you guys right. I'm gonna be a good player for you one day. But the tears were rolling down his face, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad we drafted him, But I'm like, he's kind of small in my mind. You've seen him on TV, and when he came through here in Calgary, you got to watch him, and he was excellent. But yeah, that's what I said. You never know what pick's gonna be the guy. So I know people were like, oh, it's a 7th round pick. Well, hopefully I can get that 7th round pick, and you can find some more Dustin Wolf somewhere in the 7th round.
I have one last question here. Obviously, the 2 guys you acquired out of Philly, both were apparently very well loved in that locker room. Obviously, number one in any trade is the on-ice product, but how much does intangibles or things like locker room presence matter when it comes to the value of a trade like that?
I think it's important. You're kind of doing your due diligence before the trade to see what kind of guys they're like, and I didn't find anything negative about him, and then, so when I finally got to meet him, easy to talk to, you kind of watch as the GM, you're watching from a distance to see how they kind of integrate, but right away, it seems like it was a good fit. Then you talk to the trainers. Hey, how's it going for the new guys? And it's always a good sign when they treat the trainers with respect, and they said, hey, these guys, first class. They treat us really well, Craig, and it seems like they're getting along. So, it makes a huge difference. And they're both, I didn't know at the time, but they're both single guys, and they're coming in together, and they're really good friends. So I'm hoping that helps them too. I think they're going to live together, find a place when they get back.
There you go. They've got the connection with each other at very least. Craig, thank you so much for coming on. We do have the game coming up here, so good luck to you guys, but maybe not too much luck. We appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll talk to you next time the Avs play Calgary too.
Sounds great, guys.
Thanks
for having me on. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
So there you go. GM, positive guy. I like the vibes. It's good stuff. Wish nothing but the best for Calgary on every night except for tonight. So
Yeah, Connie, good guy, well spoken, good guy, and
yeah,
it's weird. It's weird because he's an American, and like you hear those stories of guys in Western Canada don't want to be there, and this guy's been there the last 20 years now. You know what I mean? He's made his life there, and the kids grew up there, and now they're all grown up, and his wife, and pretty cool story. You know what I mean? Like just kind of just embrace Western Canada and just kind of settled in and absolutely loves Calgary. So good on him.
how much of his career did he play there? I know it was quite a bit.
Oh, he played it for a while there, and he went back. I mean, he signed that big contract with LA, and then he went back and got him, and he was part of that big run there, and then started working with the team as soon as he, got
Yeah.
done playing. So yeah, I mean, he's
He did the reverse of you.
yeah, yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. He's from. I was at St. Lawrence. He was at Clarkson. It's like 8 miles apart. You know what I mean? And
There you go. Yeah.
in college, and we played against each other in college. And he's from there, though. He's from Potsdam, New York, right there
Yep.
in the boonies there in upstate New York.
All right. Crystal ball time, buddy. What you got?
I'm going, man. I'm going again. I'm always positive when it starts like this. I do feel this is going to be a grimy game. I'm going with my keys. I like Randy's spot there 4-2. I'm going to go 3-2. I'm going to bring it one down from Randy. I'm going to go 3-2 Avs, and it might have to be overtime.
All right.
And
Give
I'm
me a
going to
name.
go. I'm going to give you a name. I'm sticking with him. God, I'm sticking with Nature's.
I like
Hopefully
it. I
the
like
posts
it.
are a little thinner in Canada. Connie did say it was cold, so I don't know. Maybe
Shrunk a bit.
the post
Shrunk a bit,
shrunk.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see.
I like the Nature's choice. I do.
Yeah.
He was going to be my choice, but I'll switch it up. I do think
Oh, sorry.
Avs need to get to 4. When they get to 4, they win
Yeah.
right now. So let's see him get to 4. I'm going to take 4-3. I'm going to take a high scoring one a little bit here. Gonna go that way with it. I'm going to take Shillington, man. It hasn't been in the lineup in a while. Wants to make an impression against his former team. I think there's a recipe for success there. So hopefully he comes in and pops off a little bit. And that's my prediction. We do have some more predictions with a little bit of money on them with Bet365's pregame picks, where things are never ordinary. I didn't do anything too complicated. Took the Avs to cover, so I guess I should have picked 5-3, not 4-3, but same difference. Then I took the over, and then I went with E's guy. I took Nate just to score the first goal. It just feels like it's coming for Marty, right? He's hit so many posts. You feel like he's dangerous in every single game he's played in, even in the ones where the Avs have struggled to score. You just feel like he's right on the cusp of breaking out and scoring a whole bunch of them. So I like the Nature's pick a lot for me, and maybe he can make me some money tonight. We'll see. Whatever you do bet on, whether you're like Craig and rooting for the Flames or you're the Avs, if you do putting money on it, make sure you do so at Bet365. Of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. It'll be, look, the Avs forward core, I think you can take a lot of positives out of, especially their wins. But there needs to be a certain level of consistency brought to you from the forward core as a whole, top to bottom, to be honest. I think all of them can perform at a higher floor level. And your keys are obviously a great way to get to that. But at the end of the day, at what point do you need a superstar to just say, I'm going to go make a play that's better than everybody else?
I mean, again, I try to stay away from that this week. The cream always rises to the top. I say it all the time. Like, it has to, and it has to tonight. Kel McCarr's back home, and Randy's he says it's minus 15 right now. You know what I mean? So good luck, Randy. Don't freeze your butt off. But McCarr's got some family in town tonight. I mean, obviously, Calgary boy. The cream has to rise on the back end, which is number 8, and then the cream has to rise on the front end, which is number 29. And you're in Western Canada. Like I said, it's cold. It's exciting. It's a playoff atmosphere. Let's go. Let's make a superstar play. Let's make a few superstar plays, and then let's get going. I do believe it's going to happen tonight, and I think we're in for a fun hockey game.
I'll take that first and foremost. No more boring losses. If you're gonna lose crazy. Do something weird, Avs. All right, don't not these 2-0, 3-0 losses where you just by the end of the game you're dragging. So hopefully they can put together a win. We are going to wrap up this pre-game show here. We have a watch along coming your way, and then we have post-game breaking down whatever happens, no matter what. So join us for those. We appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes.
We all city like the mayor.